Hello and welcome to another installment of Metallic Reviews, the show where I take an honest look at the harder, heavier side of music and give it an honest rating. Today we're going to be diving into some metalcore from the Great White North as we examine Canadian Export's Arrival of Autumn and their new album Kingdom Undone, out May 26th on Nuclear Blast. Now, Nuclear Blast, let's be honest, they're not really known for their swath of great metalcore artists. In fact, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone on this label who'd be found on something like Sumerian or Rise Records. But good metalcore can be found anywhere, regardless of label affiliation, so we'll just see what the self-proclaimed world's largest independent metal label has to offer in the way of breakdowns and good versus evil vocals. Now, as far as this band is concerned, Arrival of Autumn first arrived, no pun intended, back in 2011, and they released their debut album Shadows in 2014. Now, Kingdom Undone is their third effort and their second on Nuclear Blast. So, how'd they do? Let's dive in and find out. Now, first of all, this is definitely metalcore for those fans who enjoy the harder side of the genre. This album definitely leans more towards the bleed from within / August Burns Red / Unearth world. Cleans are used somewhat sparingly on the album in favor of harder riffs and a more traditionally hardcore approach. Now, while it doesn't really bow completely to its hardcore influences, it does offer a more straightforward soundscape and doesn't rely as heavily on breakdowns as other metalcore artists do. There aren't a lot of stereotypical 4 hits on a China and then everybody mosh kind of movement. Instead, there are just erratic riffs, some of the most erratic of the year so far, built around one of the most frenetic vocal performances so far. And I'm just going to be honest here, I'm not really here for it. I don't really know if I like it or not. It's just not my deal. One of the things that makes metalcore so enjoyable, for me anyway, is that dichotomy between light and dark that many of the bands utilize. Here, Arrival of Autumn have stripped away all the light, leaving behind a barren wasteland that kind of feels like a nuclear bomb has been detonated while being set to music. In certain metal circles, that's fine, but when metalcore bands try it, there are times where I'm left wanting more. This is one of those times. Now, there are good parts to this album, definitely good parts, but the epicenter of the aforementioned blast needs to be avoided as much as possible. Frenzied metalcore does not equal good metalcore, and this record is a prime example of that. But again, there are positives here, and one is the production itself. Veteran producer and engineer Mark Lewis was at the helm, and it's a good thing he was. He's worked with bands as diverse as Carnifex, Cannibal Corpse, and the Black Dahlia Murder. And let me tell you, if a metalcore record ever sounded like a Carnifex or an Entheos-style deathcore release, this is it. Its production is very, very tight, very, very, very clean, with a guitar tone that drifts in between this dirty roughness and this cleaner, kind of more polished thing, just enough to keep the listener invested. Meanwhile, the drums and bass are mixed very loudly, but not to the point that they drown everything else out. In fact, I'm very impressed with the way that the bass in particular is mixed. It quite literally booms out at different points. Now, this was especially noticeable on the track Burn, where the bass fills in a lot of the gaps led by guitarists Ryan Sorensen, Jamison Epson, and Brendan Anderson. Now, speaking of guitars, having a triple axe attack could work if done well. If not, then it just makes things muddled and uninteresting. Now, sadly, that statement rings true in a lot of this record. Sometimes the riffs on here are very tight, very well written. Then there are times where they just pile on top of each other and they do not work. When things are allowed to breathe and become as massive as the production, this album shines. Then, when they're compacted and put into these little musical boxes with no room for movement or oxygenation, they turn into something that's not quite there. It's almost there, but not quite. Now, I think my biggest issue with the record, again, is that the band are focused way too much on stripping metalcore of any kind of hope or light or anything like that. The records in this genre that work have the thematic and musical awareness to offer a bit of hope in the darkness. There's this wonderful light at the end of this crazy tunnel. This is where the clean vocals and massive choruses work to perfection. Here, there's not really hope, and it's rather exhaustive, and it's just a mess. It's a mess of nihilism, featuring songs with such emo-laden titles as Hell Comes Home. By the way, that's actually a good song and one of the only good ones on here, but not for the title or the lyrics. It's just because the chorus's chord progression just kind of works. Anyway, I'd like to see the band focus more on bringing the lighter, cleaner side of metalcore into their music. If they do that, they could be better. If not, they're just going to pump out another middling effort like this. But overall, this is a metalcore record that definitely presses more to the metal than the core. You know, that's fine as long as you keep pace with your songwriting. Other than a few bright moments, this one didn't really do that. I mean, Ghosts might be one of the best metalcore songs of the year so far, and Hallowed ends the album with this really neat Avenged Sevenfold-esque sing-along chorus, but other than that, this one just kind of fell short for me. Our journey into the long summer continues, and I hope that it doesn't present more mediocrity like this, because frankly, I'm getting a little tired of it. Kingdom Undone by Arrival of Autumn gets an unspectacular 3 out of 5. Thanks so much for watching. Click like and please don't forget to subscribe for more Metallic reviews. Now, speaking of Sevenfold, one of the biggest weeks in the metal calendar this year is about to hit. We've already had a Metallica for the release for the year, and now the guys in Avenged Sevenfold are going to be dropping their new project, Life is But a Dream, this coming Friday. So next week, we'll be getting into all the philosophical stuff and the obvious pretentiousness of the title. Yeah, I know it's just a very pretentious title, but hopefully it hides some very good music. I hope you join me. You've been watching Metallic Reviews, where I give honest ratings to honest music. I will see y'all next time.